students. Next, Mrs. Archana Gaba, Chief Learning Officer of St. Kabir Gurukul Jalalabad, will deliver her keynote speech on TPSCK for 21st Century Skills and KSAM. Madam, stage is yours now.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. These kids have already kind of, woken us up and transported us to another world. This song always brings tears to our eyes. Now that our emotions are already awakened, let's awaken our bodies too. So just for 1 second, everybody stand up. Fast, because I have to finish it in 10-15 minutes. Stand up, please. School leaders can follow their own wishes, okay? So just stretch. This, whichever way, move whichever way you want to move, smile at each other. You want to, change your seat, you can, and then sit down. Please sit down. Thank you. Do we have any teachers here who have an experience of teaching for more than 5 years? The people who have been teachers for more than 5 years. Raise your hands kindly. Yeah, of course. In the audience. Yeah, you guys are, veterans. Anybody? Yes. So I want all of you to please come forward to these chairs. Don't worry, I'll not put you in a tight spot. Come. Come on. Join the fun. And from here too. Ladies, you deserve the front seats. Please come. Thank you. Yes. I want to make an honest confession. If I had known that I'll have teachers in audience, maybe I would have spent some time on learning Sinali also. Because I know by my own experience that it's not necessary that every teacher is really very comfortable with English. So I respect that constraint for now. Mainly this talk was planned for your policy makers, the political leaders of this country, and the school leaders. But you also are the leaders of your classes. I am Chief Learning Officers. Why? Because I consider teachers are the learning officers first. You are in charge of the learning environment in your class. Okay? So today I'm not going to teach you something. We are going to face a few facts today. I'm going to give a real picture. In the beginning, Dheeraj sir said that many of us will be bringing case studies. The case study that I bring today is the case study of my country. And I believe you also have a case study similar to that. We are a few years ahead of you on the same road of the same vision of prosperity, quality education, sustainability. But still, we are not at the destination, and you also are a little far from that. But if we stay on that road, and if we keep on checking, giving ourselves the reality check, I'm sure that day is not far, we'll achieve that vision. So I'm going to throw some numbers at you and some questions. Then I leave it to you to find the answers, because as a teacher, what I've learned is learning is all about what, how, and why. We focus a little too much on what and how of it. But my experience tells me when the learner understands why they need to learn what they need to learn, they find the how themselves. So with that same faith and confidence in your abilities, today I'm going to talk about the why part only. So here are a few numbers. We are going to talk about assessments and evaluations. Actually, as per our board, that topic is a 10 hours capacity building program for teachers. So talking about that in 10 minutes will not do justice to that. So let us talk about the why of it, and then I'll leave you with a few suggestions on the how part also. In India, we have 1.5 million schools and 250 million students, and we have the largest K-12 education system. From kindergarten to grade 12, India's schools, this largest system we have. 19.8 million students in our colleges and undergraduate level. That is 86% of our youth population. 2.49 in postgraduate. After graduation, our children drop out. Very few go to the post-graduation, and just 1% go for the research. You keep comparing it with your numbers, and if you don't know the numbers of your country, I'd encourage you to find it, please. In India, every student goes through these many exams. 4 exams a year from the age of 5 till 18. Countless Olympiads and talent search examinations, and I was talking to Archana sir today to understand about your examination system, and he enlightened me that you have 6 exams in a year for every school children, for every year. Minimum 2 entrance examination every child has to undergo for college admissions. 4 exams then in college years, which can be of 3 years or 4 years for their graduation. And then n number of exams for the jobs, if they want to work in private, private sector or in government sector. And once they get placed, then again they have to go through exam to get promotion in that particular sector which they have chosen. And these are the numbers that we have, and you can relate it to the numbers that you have. Because unless we face the reality, we cannot change it, okay? Reality is this, that despite that, our employment rate stands at 37%. Employability rate is 46.2. Our GDP rank is quite something to work upon still. And in PISA test, we have not been participating. When we say we can think of India and Sri Lanka both, because these numbers would be telling the same story about you also, about this country also. My humble submission to you is to think about that what else does a child need to do to improve these numbers? What more we need to do to improve these numbers? You have also come through the same way. You have taken so many examinations, cleared so many tests, and wherever you stand today, for promotions, for growth in life, because only that will change these numbers to a positive number. What more should a person do after passing through so many tests and examinations? So generally what happened is, in our defense, we used to claim that we are a highly populated country. Our classes have huge volume. That is the reason that somehow quality education stays a far vision for us, okay? So I thought, why not we do a comparative study with China? Because just till a few weeks back, China was the most populated country. Unfortunately, now India tops that chart. So when we did this comparison, what we found is, population-wise, China is bigger, but literacy rate is also higher than us. Their undergraduate enrollment is almost similar to us. Postgraduate, again, is similar. But what is very, very inspiring is their doctoral enrollments, the students who go for research, that number is pretty higher. And their enrollments in vocational subjects is something for the whole world to learn and be inspired from. And that is what speaks about their GDP. If you see that number, their growth per person, this is 2.87, and that is eight times more in US dollars. So then we realized, okay, this excuse won't work. Population is not the reason that we are not able to achieve what we want to achieve. Then we thought, after so many exams and everything, and we are so stuck on examinations, right? All the year, we keep preparing our students for this exam, that exam, marking their notebooks, then again recorrecting, and doing all sort of, plethora of activities that we do to make the students perform well. What if there were no exams? is the idea of education even conceivable without exams? Would the education die if there were no exams? I'm sure many of you will feel that it will, as long as our core philosophy is that we teach because we want to test, right? So if exams are going to be the end all in students' mind, in parents' mind, in teachers' mind, and even in school authorities' minds, can reforms in examination bring reform in education? That's one question I'm asking you to think about in your own time and try to find an answer for. And on that premise, that was the context, that was the reality check that we did, based on which we crafted an ideal. That ideal, ladies and gentlemen, is our national education policy, which we call NEP 2020, which admitted the reality. Our policymakers took this hard check, kept this into account, and created a policy which will start from the end. So the first thing that we are going to do to reform education, to bring quality in education, is bringing examination reforms. This has been the reality. We have been testing content knowledge. Main format of test was pen and paper. Exams an end in itself. Whatever your result is, you are that kind of person. This is your label. While in reality, exams should be the way, like why do we taste after making a dish? So that whatever is lacking, we can add to it to make it, perfect or palatable or delicious. But somehow in our education system, we take examinations to be an end in itself. Fine, this is your result, this is who you are for your whole life. Lot of focus on drill and practice. It was just one-way testing. Always the teacher was asking for the test, that they were giving the test, students were there just to, participate. No space or scope for critical or creative thinking, and naturally, that was an unnatural and unscientific way of assessing somebody's grasp of knowledge. So this is the ideal that we envisage now through our national education policy, which is self-explanatory, that from focus on drilling, why don't we focus on understanding and applying? Just 2 days back, during a conversation among Indian delegates, one of our colleague, Mr. Ashirwad, right? I'm right, sir? He was talking about it, that I want to change the evaluation system. Fine, you tell me the evaluation system is wrong, but what can I do to make it better? There cannot be a same what for everybody. Why? Because see, we will be against standardizing it if I give you the same method to each one of you. There was a story once, there was a king who was like, authoritarian, and he would do authoritative, and he would do everything with his own mind, according to his own wills. So somebody, rose up and they said there should not be a king, there should be democracy. So some people started following him and they overthrew the king. And once they overthrew the king, his followers started saying, now you be the king. You see? So somehow we should not end up doing the same thing by finding, those small suggestions or activities which can become very good for somebody, but which can again be a hurdle for some other system, for some other set of students. Okay? Assessments have to be, I'll start again from the end. There should be more formats than only pen paper tests. Sorry for my Hindi, because when I talk to the teachers, I try to talk in their language, and our language is Hindi. There should be an ongoing assessment process so that we can keep guiding and making students aware of where they stand and where they can go from that point. Once we show this to them, most of the times I've seen they can find the how. Free critical creative thinking skills should be encouraged. Many of my colleagues have already spoke about it in details. Even assessment has to be interactive. Focus should be more on application. Enough of creating a portfolio of the students, let's encourage them to create prototypes now. And examination should be just a means to an end, not an end in itself. And it should assess talents and skill rather than the grasp on information, the store of information. So I have just 2 more slides to go. In this one slide, I just try to give you a comprehensive picture of what can be the roadmap towards such healthy assessment practices. Okay? Now, every module, every thing is actually a module in itself for at least 5 hours capacity building program. So I cannot go in detail about each one of these, but I will say catch only one out of these. Even if every table catches just one out of it. One group of teachers decides we will create rubrics. Rubrics are when you appear for IELTS or TOEFL examination to go abroad, you get the bands, right? Are you aware of the IELTS examination? Everybody raise your hands, please. You're aware of the IELTS examination which you have to take if you want to go to any Western country? That's examination of English language. Not aware. All right. So these examinations you have to take IELTS. If you want to go to US, you have to take TOEFL. Am I right? So these examinations, that you don't get percentage, you get bands. And every band has a description that tells what this student knows, what concepts she has already mastered. So that means when we know that we have in the hall people who have got 4 bands, then the teacher would know what vocabulary should I focus on, while teaching these students. What should be the pace of my speech so that everybody in my room understands saying in English, okay? So that is about rubrics. Interactivity can be there by using technology, gamified quizzes or gamified learning. If you want to know more about it, I would advise you to Google toys in Japan. They have gamified everything. Their students are conducting cesarean operations in the class on, the body made of silicon. Can you imagine? They're learning, childbirth in the class, school level pay, even without going for this medical examination or medical stream. And there can be gamified quizzes, which are many apps are there on your smartphone. Not portfolios, but prototypes I've already shared. Self-assessment should be reflective, where we talk about what you have learned, what you need to learn that what has to be your foundation, so that gaps are seen, gaps are accepted, gaps are taken into account while preparing the lesson plans and the curriculum. There has to be collaborative peer assessments. Sometimes, the same level of students assess each other. That can be a great practice in making a student understand that what my friend has understood in a better way, and I still have to. Multidisciplinary competency assessment, where we take one topic and we teach it from every subject's point of view. Suppose we want to talk about currency, so we teach them about the currency of various nations. We make it a social science or history project. Then we use the same thing by understanding the different value of different currencies, so that would be a maths topic, and then presenting it in English, so that would be a language project. That is called multidisciplinary approach. Open book tests, where the students are not, where they are trusted, that fine, all right, read it. I so many times, challenge my students. I say, okay, I'm going to show you the paper. Read it, fine, and then tell me, can you do it to the 100% capacity tomorrow? Or how many days would you need so that you can answer every question to perfection? Even if that much a student can achieve, that means learning has happened. They have not just mugged up information, they really know what the question is and they want to perform. Everybody wants to perform. Dissertations are research papers where we encourage students to do more and more research and find out the facts for themselves. So I'll just conclude this with this quote because this sums up the ideal behind our national education policy and behind the vision that every teacher has who wants her students to achieve success. Give the pupil something to do, not something to learn, and the doing is of such a nature as to demand thinking. So learning naturally occurs. So with this, I conclude my humble submission. I'm really grateful to the organizers of the summit and Leeds team, and highly, highly grateful to God Almighty that I got the opportunity to come here. Grateful to my colleagues with whom I have had really enlightening deliberations. And I wish you all a great Independence Day, Sri Lanka. May you prosper. May God's blessings be upon all of you. God bless you.